Yes, I can hear you.
Good deal. All right. So we weren't able to log in earlier than 6, but we are changing that to where we could log in 10 minutes early. But I told the guys to come in at 6, so they'll be trickling in. We just
Oh,
give them.
oh, okay, cool. Yeah, no worries.
All right. Good deal. Are you able to share your screen if you have a presentation? See how to do that?
Not necessarily. I mean, no need to share my screen. I can share some things if need be. It would just depend on like how much time and stuff like that.
Okay.
That we're rolling through and just like some of the questions. But yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. Well, we'll definitely want you just to share something with us that you have planned for about 15 to 20 minutes, and then
Oh,
open
yeah.
the open the floor for questions.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'll need to share my screen, but if you want me to show some visuals, I can. It really just depends on what they're looking for. So
Okay. 10-4. All
yeah.
right. We'll give them a few minutes, and yeah, as long as they show up, I won't be too upset with them. But if they don't show up, I'm gonna be like, y'all don't have to ask me nothing.
Nah, it's all good, man. All good, all good. Let me see.
This is your
Let's
first time seeing me, I think.
yeah, I think so.
Right.
I think so. Yeah, first time
Yeah.
for me.
Good deal. You had a good day?
Yeah, man. I was when you called me, I was out for a walk, dude. The weather here in DC is amazing right now. I don't know if it's amazing where you're at, but it's perfect. Like kind of chill, sun's out, like it was amazing. So I was getting some sunlight, man.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, I mean, it's not too bad here. It's a little on the warmer side, 84 degrees, but I'll
Okay.
take it. It's not too hot. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
man. Yeah, man. Nah, that's cool. I'm ready for the finals tonight too. I'm gonna check that out. Like I'm gonna get some
Who,
food. Like what?
who's playing?
Mavs and Celtics game one, NBA Finals.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have been keeping up. Damn. Okay. Those are
Yeah.
two, like, well, Celsius is kind of popular.
Yeah. Uh the Mavs, they had a pretty good run. Like I don't know if you've been following NBA at all, but they kind of ran through the gauntlet in the West. Like the West was like really stacked this year, and they didn't go to like any game sevens this year. They cleaned up like everybody. The Mavs did. So yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I don't remember the Mavs being too good since they had, like, Derek. Didn't he play for the Mavs? Dirk?
Dirk. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they haven't even been relevant since Dirk. Like that was more than over 10 years ago. Like,
Yeah. Shit. That's crazy.
oh yeah.
Damn.
So they're playing tonight at like 8:30, game one against the Celtics. And it's young guys. Tatum's young, Luka's young. So like it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top.
Yeah, for sure. That's what's up, man. Good deal. So do you do the insurance? You like is it like primarily insurance that you do?
It depends. We have a really big insurance background, but we also do investments as well. And depending on for the small business owners, we'll also do like their benefits, executive benefits, exit planning. But it'd be a combination of insurance and investments for most of the things we do. Yeah.
Do you do it 24/7? Like is this your full time or
Oh yeah, that's all I do. Yeah, that's all eat, sleep, and breathe. This is everything.
and how long you been at it?
About 3 years now, technically about 3 years. So, oh yeah, we're rolling.
What, what was you doing before?
School.
At school?
Yeah, Morehouse. Yeah, the Morehouse
Okay.
before then. Yeah.
Nice, nice, nice. Yeah, I think I remember you mentioning that.
Oh
I went
yeah.
to yeah, HBCU.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So yeah, my guy Robert F. Smith covered you, huh?
Can't cover me, but I mean I didn't need to be covered. I went on a full ride, but it wasn't even my class. But yeah, he covered some people, so it was chill.
Sweet, sweet, sweet. Oh, you had a full ride. That's good, man.
Yeah, man. It's cool. It's good stuff, man. It was a blessing to be able to go to school for that, for the low. So that's pretty chill.
You went to school for what? What was your major?
Finance. It was finance. Yeah.
Nah, you got a full ride for finance. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
I didn't
man.
think they was. I didn't think they was giving out scholarships like that for finance. You must have like a
I didn't
high
think so
ACT.
either. I didn't think so either. I ain't gonna lie, my ACT, SAT, all that stuff was garbage, but I had a good GPA. I had like a four some coming out of high school, and they were just like, "Yeah, we're gonna throw you the bag." I was like, "Bag received."
Wow. Just like primarily from the school, full
Morehouse,
ride.
yeah, that's just Morehouse. Like
Wow.
I had some external scholarships from like some fraternities, like Jack Alpha, I think Kappa gave me some money, Zetas gave me some money coming out of PG County, Maryland. So they gave me some
Yeah,
money as well too. But yeah, primarily Morehouse, they covered like everything. I was like, all right,
man, that's amazing.
yeah,
Damn.
man.
So you pretty much like you got no student debt, but you ended up getting a vehicle or like what?
Oh, well, another conversation for another day. But long story short, I didn't really see any of the money. That's another conversation for another day in terms of like the extra scholarship money that I was supposed to have to like, live and stuff like that. But what was I saying? Yeah, no student loans. Yeah, no student loans. So yeah, I was just chilling.
Okay. So so the company that you with now, they pay you a salary or is it like commission?
No, no, it's like 100% commission, job I'm at.
Uh, how many clients do you got now?
That's a great question, man. I think I have like 50, 60 households right now or something like that
Wow.
that we
Yeah.
service. Yeah, about 50, 60, because I share a lot of them with other agents in the business too. So like I think under me I have like 50 to 60 households that like I help out pretty much. So
Yeah. What's the structure, the hierarchy? How does that work?
it's kind of funny, man. The buck kind of ends with us. So like the representatives or the agents or the advisors, they're kind of the hierarchy. Now you have office structures where you have like managing partners and managing directors that own the actual offices. However, the agents really run the show, to be quite honest with you, because they make the most money. They kind of dictate like what happens, what gets said, like what's rolled out. Like they're most of the kind of the players in the field. Like, yeah, we have a CEO, we have a COO, like we have all that at home office, but it's really going to be the advisors that kind of push most of these things, push most of the change, most of the like feedback that we get. So yeah,
That's pretty cool.
it's
Nice.
very interesting, man. It's been fun just because like you kind of learn a little bit more about what we do. Like I learned about what we do and I figured out like, oh, like I really like talking to X, Y, and Z people, like kind of people like this, where it's like executives, black executives, a lot of small business owners. That's like all day long. Like that's exactly what our stuff is built for. So it's like
Nice.
it's good stuff.
Yeah. As I've been learning about this group, let me check to see if anybody's having trouble logging in.
Oh yeah, no worries.
Um, okay. Okay. Nah, I collect. This is like data to me.
Mm.
you know, based on, like, um, based on like how people are like responding in the group and stuff like that, and
Mhm.
how they're like showing up and stuff. It tells me how much like commitment like I should give. You know what I'm saying? Because
Oh, yeah.
I know I've been putting in a lot. This is like our first meeting, um, and you know the Jewel, he's like the leader. Jewel Love, he's like the leader of the group. I'm like, hey, we're not seeing a good. Okay, here we go. Okay,
Hey, how
Darnell
you
just.
guys doing?
Hey, buddy, how
Hey,
you
what's
doing?
up?
I'm doing all right.
All right, good deal. Um, yeah, we're just kind of getting to know each other. I was just asking Brandon about his company and how long he's been in it and whatnot. We haven't covered too much yet. Just kind of waiting on everybody to join in. Um,
Yeah, I was having a little trouble on my end. Sorry about that.
no, it's
All
all
right, no
good.
worries.
Yeah.
No
So
worries.
yeah, I would say let's give it 3 more minutes, and
Sure.
if no one else shows up, then like I said, it's all data for me.
Yeah, it's no worries. I
Gentlemen,
mean,
gentlemen.
Yeah.
yeah, it is
How was work?
no worries at all.
Mhm. Yeah,
How was work, Donnell?
it was a day today, man. Thank you for asking. It's it's always like at the beginning of the month. It seems a little crazy. So I deal with pharmaceuticals and stuff, and that's really when we talk to the government. So it's always a lot of miscommunication that seems to take place when your email can be just as clear as you can want it to be. So
Yeah, no, I get that.
yeah, yeah. How about yourself?
Yeah, it was pretty good. Some of the same stuff, what I'm saying? It's
Hmm.
always work to
I gotcha.
Dick's organization and stuff like that. And, I just do my part to put everything together.
I agree with you there. I agree. I'm gonna still be on. I'm gonna go off camera because my son finna be running around, so I'm gonna be
Okay,
bending
not a
down
problem.
and picking up. Yeah, but I'm still here.
All right, cool. Good deal.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Come here.
let's see. Somebody else just joined. Titus just joined. Hey, Titus, how's it going?
Good, man. How are y'all?
Doing well, doing well. You had a good day?
Yeah. Yeah, it was somewhat challenging, but it's all good. Um I work in fundraising in higher ed, so we're nearing the end of our fiscal year and you know, talking through strategy today, so it was a lot, but it's all good.
Good deal. Yeah, I get that, man. Yeah, it sounds like we all had kind of similar days.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Good deal. Well, we about to get started in another minute. I was looking at like all the participants and stuff. It's like it's all data for me. It's like I've connected with you and Donnell. I'm like, okay, do I need to call everybody for them to join the meeting? But I'm like, you know, I get benefit from seeing people being successful, but I don't expect for people to pay me anything. So it's just like, they got to do it for them and their family. You know what I mean? I
Right.
want everybody to be great, but you got to get it. You know what I'm saying? You can't do everything for everybody. So
Yes, sir.
yeah. So yeah, I appreciate you joining in. And so Brandon, I met Brandon on LinkedIn. He had reached out to me, and we had a conversation about different things, different services that they provide, and I was able to listen to him. And now, maybe almost a year later, I'm like, hey, Brandon, you want to talk to the group? And he's like, oh yeah, he's all for it. It's kind of like, because he's speaking to guys like us, you know, on a daily basis. Like he's doing what he's doing full time, which I just learned. And so, to have all of us in one spot, he can deliver his message. And then if we want any more details, we can follow up with him. He'll share his contact information or I'll actually make it available. And then if you guys like what he's talking about and want to learn more, you can reach out to him. So it benefits him and it benefits us to get the information. So other than that, Brandon White, go ahead and take it away. He's going to talk to us about budgeting. So looking forward to what he has to share with us, and then he'll be accepting questions at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Fred, I appreciate the introduction. Just to be clear, is it just an audience of just us right now, us three? That's the audience right now. Just want to make
Yep,
sure.
and yeah, if anybody else joins in later on,
Okay.
then they'll join in. But right now, it's just us.
Okay, no, that's perfectly fine. Then I'm just going to keep it like kind of like we're sitting in a room type of thing, where it's just like very open-ended, because I can be very specific and tailored for you guys since you guys are here. I don't have to give kind of a catch-all, so that's really helpful. Yeah, I mean, the number one goal for budgeting is just to make sure that you're on track for whatever you want to be on track for, whatever your goals are. And budgeting is kind of the last piece of the puzzle when it comes to financial planning. It's just putting numbers to all of the legwork of what you want to do. That's really where budgeting comes into play. So when we're talking about budgeting, it's kind of disingenuous to not say like, what are your goals? What do you want to accomplish? What is it for? Like, budgeting is all just making sure every dollar has a job description. That's pretty much it. So you want to be very cognizant of where those dollars are going and what the goals are for, and what's the intentionality about it. It's just all about being intentional about where you want to put those dollars. And obviously there's different ways to budget. There's different things to budget for, and they all require different, levels of intentionality, whether it's for budgeting for retirement, budgeting for savings, budgeting for short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals. And it's all about just being intentional about, well, what does my reality look like? And everybody's reality is going to look a little different. Everybody's goals are going to look a little different. Everybody's going to live in a different area, a different state, with different expenses. So that's why budgeting there's general concepts that, would be helpful to share, but it'll be a lot more impactful to know like, hey, what's actually driving you towards what you want to know more about budgeting, if that makes sense. But
That
I'll
definitely
pause.
makes sense.
Yeah, I'll pause there and kind of leave it open-ended in terms of just like what is top of mind when it comes to budgeting, or any questions that come off the top of your head initially.
I guess for me, I got a quick question for you. For me, I understand budgeting is always living below your means, but that's easier to say it prior to going into something. But it's like we're living today. It's like, how do we start really budgeting and saving and cutting? Because when I hear budgeting, I also hear saving, and that's probably a fault of mine. But I hear those two together, and it's always like, I think in school I heard like your house should be like 30 to 40% of what you bring in on your income, and so on and so forth. But it's today, and it's really hard to just change your bills in one day. So
Right.
my question to you would be, how do you deal with your every day, knowing that you want to budget to create more money, like, we invest in the stock market and stuff like that, as well as save for down in the future?
Yeah, great question. So that's exactly what you're talking about. It's like, hey, I see these things online where it's like we want to save 10 to 20% of our income, make sure our expenses are below 30% threshold. But that's the thing. Like, I have clients in Texas, I have clients in South Carolina, I have clients in DC, I have clients in New York, clients in California. Like, every situation is going to be different. And depending on how old you are, how young you are, like you just coming out of college, are you about to retire? Are you saving for like your goals? Are you saving for your partner's goals, your kids' goals? That's all going to be different, especially if you're in an area where the cost of living might be a lot higher or a lot lower, or the state taxes might be a lot higher or a lot lower. So it's really going to be super uber dependent on where you are. And kind of going back to it, right? Budgeting and saving are pretty much synonymous. Saving is just, where do we want those dollars to go and what is it for? Budgeting is just, what's the line item? What's the number we want to put towards it? And I'm a big believer in the now, and using your dollars now and being able to use your dollars now, because what we usually run into is that when we run into clients, they'll have a lot of short-term dollars or a good amount of savings or building up towards savings, and a good amount of long-term dollars, whether it's through the 401k, IRA, 403b, TSP, whatever it may be. We really find a shortage in the middle. That's where the real shortage comes into play. is those midterm, those 3 to 5 to 10 year range, where how do we save efficiently for those dollars, tax efficiently, but also making sure we're on track for all our goals. And that's really where the sweet spot comes into play, is just saying like, hey, like, does it make sense to max out your retirement accounts or put, 20, 30% towards savings when you know you want that house in 5 years, when you know you have to finance that deal in 5 to 10 years, when you know your kid wants to go to school for whatever it may be. So it's really dependent. And obviously it's going to vary state to state, where it's like, yeah, catch-all is like to have a certain percentage, but we want to make sure we're being cognizant of, who we're talking to, who we're seeing, and that it's suitable for them. Like that's the biggest thing, is suitability. And if these numbers aren't suitable based on your expenses, well, then they're not feasible. Like it's not realistic to have those conversations. If you can save a whole lot more, well, then you can save a whole lot more. If you save a whole lot less, well, then it's, yeah. But then it's going to say like, hey, doing a little bit of something is always going to be better than doing a little bit of nothing. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. So
Yeah.
yeah, like you said, you got clients in different states, and then clients within one state, they might be faced with a different situation from the next. But are you able to provide like essentially how much people are putting away towards their savings per paycheck or per month, like percent wise? Have you been able to narrow down what that number is typically?
Yeah, so we like to say 20% of your after-tax income should go towards some type of savings vehicle, and that savings vehicle can be short-term, it can be midterm, and it can be long-term. But usually around 20%. So like just, apples to apples, if you're taking home $10,000, 2,000 of that should go towards some type of savings program. Now, if there are additional goals in the field where it's like, hey, I really, really, really want my kid to go to college at this stage of the game. Hey, I really want to retire early. Like I hear that a lot. I want to get off the corporate ladder as fast as humanly possible. So if that's the case, well, then we might have to tweak those numbers and might have to go from 20 to 25. Or if it's like, hey, we're really tight on dollars right now, we're really, really tight. We're just paying for daycare expenses, that just had our third kid. We need repairs in the house. Well, maybe right now, 10% is the right number for you. Because I could say 20% you should strive for, but it's not a realistic recommendation because of all the things you have going on right now. And then some people, it's like, I have clients that do the same exact job. I have a lot of attorneys, they do the same exact job in DC. That $10,000 after tax is going to go not as far as you living in Texas or you living in a very low expense environment. And that could play a factor in it as well, too. So once you start taking account, like, okay, that 20% number is sort of that frame of mind where we want to play around, like, hey, we want to get to that 20% number. Now it's just making sure it's suitable. If it is, then great. Well, let's work towards that, or let's build out a plan to make sure that those dollars have a job description, where those dollars should be going, and then figure out what's the best path for that individual and that person.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Do you guys give out specific advice to like how to keep expenses low? Like, is there like an expense reduction type program you guys offer, or if you can just give us some tips on how to reduce expenses from your experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So we don't actually offer an expense reduction program specifically, like through our company. However, there are leaks or there are things that I'll tell my clients to utilize. For example, number one, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Rocket Money, but that is a very, very popular tool that a lot of people will utilize. It'll catch what you're spending and say, hey, Fred, or hey, Donnell, like you're double spending here. You got 2 subscriptions here when you don't need it, or you have the subscription, you haven't used this service in a very, very long time, or you have these memberships that you like shouldn't be using, right? Yeah, Rocket Money. Yep, Rocket Money. It's a very, very popular tool that a lot of people will utilize to basically track their spending. And you hook up like your credit cards, you can hook up your savings accounts, you hook up those things, and it'll track like where those dollars are going. And sometimes it's a brutal reality for a lot of our clients. So sometimes we'll just be like, hey, can you just like send us a budget sheet and we'll just kind of give you the lay of the land. But Rocket Money will definitely give you that reel where it's like, oh, okay, these are where my dollars are going. And even on our platform, funny you say that, even on our platform, our Northwestern Mutual platform actually tracks your spending on a month-to-month basis. So I can actually check like my cash flow. I can check like, hey, where are my dollars going? And in that way, you can be cognizant of like, okay, my dollars are going here when they really shouldn't be. I'm spending way too much on eating out. I'm double spending on subscriptions. I got this subscription from 10 years ago I never even used. Like, let's cut that. And that could be a great way to reduce expenses over time. And I'll walk through clients for that. I'll like be like, hey, like this is where the leaks are. We got to cut that down.
For that, and I've heard great things about Rocket Money. My thing is, do you trust them with all of your bank account information? Because everyone gets hacked these days, and that's my biggest concern when it comes to things like that. If I'm just honest.
So it's funny you say that. I mean, I have trust in them. The thing is, I don't personally use them. I personally use our application, like our NM application, just because like most of my clients, they'll use that application as well. It's completely free. Obviously, become a client, you have it with you, and it'll like track like all of your spending. Like I think I'm trying to see if I can even pull it up. So like I recommend Rocket Money. I've never had any personal issues. Would I put all my faith in there just to say like, hey, they're not going to get hacked or anything like that? I don't know them well enough to be like, yeah, like go full put your money in there. I know some of my clients will do it, or some of like the people that I've talked to, they'll do it as well. But like even I don't know if you can see this here, but like it's a whole application. This is like the Northwestern Mutual application, and it will check like, hey, like here's cash flow from like January to June, basically, and it'll track like here's cash flow, here's spending, and like here's what you're spending. Like I'm trying to see like even discretionary for June so far, I've spent $763 and it'll track it like where it's going and how it's going. Now I had to make some cuts because I'm spending way too damn much with the dog, like daycare, like it's just way too much. I had to cut that. But that was like because I was looking at like where my spending was going. And I'm like, okay, cool, let's cut that out. Okay, cool, let's track that down. So I'm not a Rocket Money lawyer. I'm not about to advocate for them like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just not. I advocate, you know what I mean? But I'm sure they're good. I'm sure they're
You
good.
have.
I'm sure they're good.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, I was that's really good to be able to track. Like I kind of keep everything in my head, but just to see everything laid out in like a pie chart would be nice, and then I can like drill in and see, where's the majority of my money going to, and see if I can reduce it. That's pretty good. You mentioned that you provide that to your client. So
Yeah.
what if like a client just wanted that option, just to be able to track their expenses through your portal? What does that typically cost?
Yeah, it's funny. I don't even know if they offer that. I think it's for clients. I'll be honest. Like I think you have to have a client to use it because they usually have some type of login for that. I don't know if they offer it like there's a separate arm where it's like, hey, you want to pay like $50 a month to do this, like you can do this. Like at that point, I'll just refer out for Rocket Money. But that's where I'm like, hey, like I'm like with clients, like I'm using it, I would use it if there's a situation where we don't work together. Like I've heard great things about Rocket Money, so I'd probably refer them out for that. But if they just wanted that personal thing, I don't even know if that's an option, to be honest with you. I'm not even sure. I don't think you can like pay a separate fee for something like that. I think you just have to become a client, to be honest. So
Yeah, because what I'm thinking is it's like if you could see where the money is going, and then within that network, like within that city, that zip code, be like, hey, why don't you try this as an alternative to be able to save X amount of money? That'll be awesome.
mhm. Oh yeah. And there's probably some very advanced software out there for that. Am I super familiar with them? I'll be honest, not necessarily. Like most things I'm familiar with is going to be our platform and then Rocket Money. I'm sure they do something or similar to that in terms of spending. I know some credit cards will also track spending as well. If you use a credit card, they'll track your spending as well, like where they are, where some opportunities to be able to improve on that on. But yeah, I'm not super familiar with all like the 2024 niche products that they have out right now. Just being honest.
Gotcha. What about budgeting that most people don't really consider? I know we've talked about saving, expenses, but like,
Yeah.
what do you think we should be kind of cognizant of about budgeting that the normal person isn't really taking into account?
Oh, tax, number one, easily tax. Like, you can save dollars, but if it's eroded by Uncle Sam over time, like it's gonna erode. I mean, Uncle Sam's gonna take, you know what I'm saying? Like that's biggest eroder. Like that's something that people are kind of like they put tax in like the same bucket as like their CPA or their accountant, and they're like, hey, okay, cool. They handle it. I'm gonna get my deductions off my 401k or retirement account. I'm gonna use all the deductions I can for my family or whatever it may be, get the standardized or itemized deductions, whatever it may be, and really go from there. But saving dollars is important. Saving it on a tax efficient manner is also going to be very important. I speak about that a lot where it's like, hey, if we're not aware of how those dollars are being taxed, you will get screwed. You will get killed. Just like over time, especially if you're in like a California or New York, or DC, like you're going to get smoked. Not even just by federal, but by state, city, and all that. And over time, it's like, yeah, you could have this massive pot of money, but if you're not tax strategic about it, it will not be fun. It will not be fun.
That's a great point. And me and my wife was talking about this. So we're thinking about putting our son in a school we have to pay for. And our thought is to use like a HSA or a FSA to see if we can reduce our taxes. Like, do
Mhm.
you suggest that, or is it, is it not really worth your time?
No, I definitely think the HSAs can be a great tool. They're triple tax efficient. It's like, hey, you're getting a deduction on the front end, it gross tax deferred. And the caveat is you have to use it for qualified medical expenses. They can be great
Right.
tools. So that's like the caveat with it. If you wanted an
Yeah.
account with a little bit more flexibility, there's other options outside the HSA. But I think HSAs are a great tool in the financial toolkit. That and 529s, to my knowledge, are the only triple tax advantaged accounts out there for that reason. So,
But with 529s, right, isn't the caveat there is that the only time you can use that money is if your child goes to school? What happens if you have a child who's more business oriented and doesn't want to go to school, but wants to use that money to start their own business? I'm wrong?
dude, no. It's
Oh,
so funny. I swear to God, I was just saying this like 2 hours ago to a client in Virginia. I swear to God, I was just saying this. Like they're business owners. I'm like, listen, y'all got kids. Like you can do the 529s, you can do the Roths. The problem is they're very restricted. The Roths is they can't touch the money until 59 and a half. And then with 529s, they have to use it for school. Like I was just telling Fred, I went to a full ride on Morehouse. So a 529 wouldn't have been very valuable for me because it's like I'm already on a full ride scholarship. I don't really, you know what I'm saying? I don't really need that. It's not really, I have to take it and pass it down to somebody
oh,
else.
really? Oh, wow. Did
Mm-hmm.
not know
Yeah.
that.
Yep. So we're always looking for very strategic ways to say, hey, like if they want to start their own business, this is what you should do. Like here's X, Y, and Z. Here's the game plan. That's the education. That's the talk we're having a lot of our clients. But that I'm so glad you brought that up because I'm like, that to me is why I don't. It's not I dislike the 529. Like I think if you really want your kid to go to college, you have like a game plan for it. I think it's an excellent tool. However, it is very restrictive. And I know for me, if I want to start my own business at like 16, 17, 18, I didn't really have that option. But I'm like telling clients, like, hey, here's what you need to do in order to have that option because I'm all for being able to have flexibility when you're a kid, when you're a child. If you want to use the money for a house, you want to use the money for a business, you want to use for education, you should have that flexibility.
So what would you suggest in this place? Because that was the biggest thing for me. Like I didn't want to do a 529 because, you
Yeah,
know, in the day and age we living in, like somebody can create something online and that's their business, they're up and going. And I don't believe just giving away money to someone to hold. I can hold my own money. So what would be something where I can still put away money for my kid to go to school or do whatever,
yeah,
and I don't really see it or touch it outside of my 401k?
yeah. I'd say the best bet and this is me being very blunt, is juvenile life insurance. Best bet. Reason why I say that is, I mean, we're kind of getting to another beat outside of budgeting, but the nice thing about juvenile life insurance is that number one, you lock in their insurability when they're very, very young. And number two, the dollars that you can utilize from that policy, they're yours. Like it's tax-free dollars that you can utilize. They can use it for school, but if they want to start their own business, they could. And you're the owner. So they don't automatically get the funds when they turn 18. You can transfer them the funds when they turn 18. However, if they're like not about their stuff, you can wait until 28, 30, 35 to hand over those dollars. And it's not going to be as restrictive as a Roth because they can utilize it for whatever they want. It's not a lot of red tape to getting those dollars, if that makes sense.
No, I definitely get where you're coming from. That's a good idea. I never thought about that, like in that terms. I know my wife, she utilizes a IUL, I think is what it's called, where you can borrow against or something like that. But I never thought about it for like my son. So I'm gonna look into that.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to have a conversation outside of this, man, like more than happy to. Definitely could explore some options that might be suitable for you guys. So,
absolutely.
yep.
So, Brandon, can you talk about the importance of sticking to a budget? And maybe this ties into like living below your means, which I think I'm doing, I guess, a pretty good job of. I know I've got bitten with like the shopping bug recently. And so it's like spending money on clothes and going to yard sales and that type of thing. But I still think like I could be doing worse. So and then another issue for me is like I can set aside money for my personal use for this month, but then I'll end up going into the money that I set aside for groceries or and using it for personal things. So how do I like stop that overlap? And what tips do you have?
Yeah, absolutely. So I use an analogy I always tell all my clients is that there's really two schools of thought when it comes to saving money. There's 95% of America and there's 5% of America. 95% of America will spend whatever they have and they'll save the rest. 5% of America will save whatever they have and they'll spend the rest. Seems very arbitrary. But what ends up happening is that these people, the 95%, always end up working for these people, the 5%. Reason being is because the 5% understands that humans are they're habitually bad savers, right? We get money, we usually spend it. That's 9 times out of 10 what we're going to do. So we have to implement what's called systematic saving strategies, where we know dollars are going out to whatever our goals are every single month, right? It's the reason why people's 401ks tend to be their biggest assets because they have to pay that every single month. There's a reason why people's houses also tend to be their biggest assets because they have to pay that mortgage every single month. So if we can figure out a way, say, hey, how do we make sure, and is it Tito is your name? Sorry, I had no idea. Is it?
Oh, Titus.
Titus, sorry. I don't know where I got Tito. Sorry, Titus. Apologies. Titus. So we say, Titus, if we can find a way to figure out your short-term, mid-term, long-term goals and build out those systematic saving strategies, well, then you can spend with reckless abandon, right? You can spend guilt-free. Like that's what I really want for a lot of people around. Like you can spend guilt-free. Like you can just not have to worry about it, to your point about, should I go to that yard sale? Should I get those clothes? Like impulse buys, so to speak.
Right.
It's like, if we're on track, like if we're already saving those dollars have already been siphoned off, we can spend with reckless abandon. You can go in the backyard and burn it for all I care. Now, if you're actually going to go back in the burner, you should probably call me before you do that. But essentially, it's like, hey, that's what I tell all my clients. It's like, because you're not the only one, right? You're not the only one that feels that way. And it's like most people, they're like, I feel a little guilty because maybe I'm overspending. I'm not sure if I'm on track. It's like, what are your goals? Where are those dollars going? Make sure the dollars have a job description, making sure they're meeting your short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals. And you can do this automatically. Like I utilize my Marcus. I have a Marcus high yield savings, and it just chops off money every single month. It just takes it out of my account before I even see it. That way that I know, like, hey, if I spend a little more this month, at least I know the money's already been saved. And I hope to not touch that Marcus, whatever it may be. Now, if there's emergency or something like that, yes, you can dip into that. That's like what the emergency fund is for. But it's really just making sure that you're on track for those short-term, midterm, and long-term goals, and that you're systematically saving those dollars. That's really the key.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
Absolutely.
Do you have any recommendations on high yield savings accounts?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I personally use Marcus. I love Marcus because they their interface is really, really simple. The three that I always recommend are Marcus, Ally, and American Express. I think those are going to be the best ones, and I can actually show now we're getting into the fun stuff. Actually show, I think this would be really helpful to see. Give me 1 second. But yeah, I'd always recommend Marcus. So I personally use Marcus just because there's no fees, there's no minimums, and it's FDIC insured. And like I always like to show this to clients are always like, what the hell is this? I'm like, hey, let's say we had a savings account of just $10,000. Just pick a random number. And you're like, Brandon, I can save $1,000 a month into this account over the next 5 years. Well, if you're using a typical bank like a Wells Fargo, a Bank of America, a Chase, you're getting around 40 bucks of interest, maybe 20 bucks of interest, maybe even $80 of interest over that time frame. In a Marcus, you would have had about almost 10 grand over that 5 years. And no fees, no minimums, and it's FDIC insured. And the money's liquid. It's not like a CD where the money's locked up. You can get in and get out very easily.
So 9,200 earned in interest
Yep,
from that account compared to other. Wow.
correct. Yep. Oh yeah. That's what I'm saying. Dollars having a job description. It's like, hey, we got one account that's getting us 0.01%, or if you're B of A, 0.04% of interest versus an online savings account of Marcus getting around 4.4. And you might be asking how in the hell are they able to get 4.4 versus getting 0% on the dollar? It's really because Marcus, Ally, American Express, SoFi, these accounts or these high yield savings accounts don't have as much physical presence. So their expenses are a lot lower than your other types of banks. They have a lot more physical presence, ATMs, buildings, and that drives up their expenses, which means they can offer their clients a lot less of interest. Marcus can offer 4.4, 4.5, and over that time frame, yeah, you could get exponentially more money in that time frame.
So do you have any regular, knowing this, doing this, do you have any regular bank accounts or?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like I still have my State Department credit union card. I still have that bank account just for like, if I really need the money, or like I just like to have it. Like my mom set it up, like, my mom set it up. Like I'm gonna still keep it. That's like the emergency fund. But any kind of additional savings beyond that, I would, putting in most of it towards Marcus because it's just getting way more money. Like I check the thing every month and it's giving me like $100, $200, $300 of interest off like not even a lot of money to being saved, like maybe $1,000 being saved. I'm getting like 50 bucks here, 60 bucks here. I'm like, hell yeah, like that's what I want. So I still keep both to answer your question. And if I need one for the other, like Marcus is very liquid. Like you can transfer dollars or come in there like the next day to your bank account. Like it's very liquid.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Nice.
Oh yeah, man. This is what we do, man. This is but like that's what I'm saying. Like budgeting, this is all part of budgeting. But I think it's disingenuous to say like, hey, these are tools to help you budget. Right? You can budget for these things because you can go into markets, be like, or Ally, and be like, I want to save for vacation. I want to save for whatever. Like you can do that. And then you can just say to get you on track for that, we need to save $200 a month, $300 a month, or whatever that might be. And you can do that in markets. That way, there's a nice little barrier to entry. So you're not gonna like go for that money because it's for a goal. It's for something. So you're not gonna go for those dollars. Now, obviously, if you really need the dollars, you're gonna go for it. but it's not a lot of impulse buying out of these dollars because it's a barrier to entry, that's the nice thing about having this account. And it's free too. You don't have to pay to open this account or anything.
Nice.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's definitely the secret sauce right there. But what is some advice you can give someone, an everyday person that
Mhm.
you know that I necessarily wouldn't know when it comes to budgeting? Like, what would that be? Like, this
Saving
is
a
your
little.
alley-oop for your slam dunk. What would it be? Sorry for interrupting you.
Oh, yeah, no worries. I mean, just saving a little bit of something is always going to be better than saving a little bit of nothing. Now, if you want the tools where you want to save, high yield savings accounts are going to be money. I think that's game changing, especially for your short term dollars. Um, and I mean, yeah, like don't give up free money. So if like you got a match on your retirement accounts, that's free money. You don't have to put it all towards there, but it's free money. So like take advantage of it. And yeah, I always tell people doing a little bit of something is always gonna be better than doing a little bit of nothing. So if it's like analysis paralysis, I don't know where to save, how much to save, start with $1, start with $10. You know what I mean? Start somewhere. Cause you'll look up one day and be like, oh damn, like where I get all this money from? Be like, you just saved it. That's it. Like, it's that simple. So
No, I agree with you on that. I always say the hardest part is starting. So start somewhere. So I totally agree with you on that one.
Mhm. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It was like just small, just a little something. I mean, I started out, I think I was saving like $80 a month when I started my career. I mean, I had nothing to save, but I was like, F it, like let's just do $80 a month. Now I'm doing like 400, 500 here, 1,000 here. Like it's a lot more. I can aggressively save a lot more, but that was built on me starting somewhere because now it's like, all right, when I'm getting a pinch, I'm getting those dollars that I saved back then, and then that's going to help me propel towards the next step. It's like it's all in a line, so to speak. It's all one continuous motion. It's like if you don't save today, you're gonna feel it tomorrow. If you do save today, you're gonna feel it tomorrow. It's just if you do nothing today, you're gonna feel it tomorrow. You're gonna feel something. It might be, it's not what you want to feel, but you're gonna feel something. You're gonna feel it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I'm like, all right, so should I? Because I have a money market account with State Employees Credit Union, and now I'm like, should I close that and put it into Marcus? Because I guess you do still, like you said, you still have your like a regular bank account. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, no, I don't think money markets are bad or by any means. I just think these are really advantageous because it's not market correlated. And I know money markets are relatively safe, like it's just CDs and stuff like that. However, like it's just I like markets because it's very simple. It can't go backwards in value. And you're getting like 4%. Money markets are going to get similar amounts. I don't think money markets are bad. I just prefer this. It's just really easy. I just prefer simple stuff. So, but yeah, money markets can be a great tool as well too. I'm not saying close it out. It's just diverse, just spread the love, spread it out. That's all.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
4.3% at PNC. I called in for one thing, and it was like, hey, you've had a relationship with us for X amount of years, and we want to increase your savings yield. And so yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I guess I came from like 4.15, and they put me at 4.3. I was like, yeah, thanks. I mean, it would have been nice if they would have gave me 5% or something, but I guess that extra 0.15% makes a difference. Um,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, good kudos to PNC because most people are with B of A or they're with Chase or they're with Wells Fargo. And when I tell them they got like $100,000, and I'm like, yo, dude, like, do you know how much you're missing out on? Uh, like they're like, oh crap. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, yeah. Like, oh man, what the heck? Why nobody ever tell me about this? I'm like, yeah. So no, as long as you're getting some type of good interest, I think it's solid. It's just being aware. Like most people just are not aware of this type of stuff. They're just like, oh yeah, like I'm just getting trash interest, but that's just the way it's got to be. Trash interest. Like, no, it does not. Well,
Yeah, that's good. I didn't know about Marcus. So that's actually a bank, or is that just like a? Tell me more about Marcus.
Yeah, it's just an online savings account. So it's not going to be like a typical bank where you go to an ATM, you cash money out. That's why I always recommend to still keep your regular bank with them. It's just online savings. So think of it like a savings account, but just like an app on your phone or something that you log into on your computer. And as I was mentioned before, no fees, no minimums, and it is FDIC insured, just like a regular bank. So about $250,000 of this is protected by the federal government as well too. Um, and yeah, it's just a online alternative where they're able to offer much higher interest because it's all online. So expenses are really low. And it's just an arm by Goldman Sachs. Like that's kind of it. It's like Marcus by Goldman Sachs. There's Ally, there's SoFi, there's American Express, there's like a bunch. But the three I usually recommend to clients are the Marcus, that's what I personally use, or Ally or American Express. I personally tried Ally, just didn't like their user interface. That's why I went to Marcus, me personally. So
All right, I appreciate it. Yeah, we're coming to a close, getting close to 7, and then this Zoom meeting will close on us, whether we're ready or. But one more question that I have: do your clients do pretty good with managing credit cards? Do you guys advise credit cards and anything along those lines?
yeah, so so I usually help out with credit cards on two folds. Is number one, obviously that kind of tracks more to spending, like what are you spending, how much are you spending. That's kind of like the previous points we're talking about. Now, if you're talking about mitigating credit card debt, there's a couple options. One being a balance transfer, which is a very, very nice tool that I'll tell people about. If you're not familiar with balance transfers, is essentially saying, hey, you have this credit card, maybe you have like a $10,000 balance on it, and it's getting like 20, 30% on it every year. You can transfer that to a 0% card for like 18 months while you pay that off. And it's saving you a lot of those dollars in interest for that credit card. And it's called a balance transfer. And a lot of times I'll tell clients about that as well. And if they're looking to mitigate that or pay down some debt, that'll be step one I'll tell them about, is to get a zero interest card and pay that down over the next year or 2 years, however much time they give you. And then, yeah, once we're able to knock out that debt or mitigate that debt, then we can look towards putting those dollars elsewhere. So,
Sounds good. Another question popped up in my head, like,
yeah, sure.
how come some people aren't really like aware of, for instance, the balance transfer or like high interest savings accounts? Like, how come this information it seems like it's kind of hiding in plain sight for some people? And I just want to know, like, what is that about?
It's a plethora of things. So I know we got to cut off at 7, so I'll keep it short. But number one, this stuff is not taught in schools. I mean, I took maybe one finance class in like high school. I mean, obviously I majored in finance, but like I swear to God, I didn't even know about these things at Morehouse when they taught me. They didn't teach me any of this stuff at Morehouse. I had to learn these things on my own. I was like, oh, really cool, sick. Like this is what people do. So I think number one is just this is not taught in schools very often, whether it's by design, whether it's not by design, it's really up to you, but it's just not taught in schools. And the second thing is that a lot of these concepts are newer. And like, for example, I like my generation gets a lot of advice from their parents or people that are older than them. And when people that are older than them or are in a certain generation, they only know X, Y, and Z, and then things change. They wouldn't tell their kids, they wouldn't tell the next generation, hey, open up a high yield savings account, or hey, do the Roth 401k, or hey, do juvenile life insurance. They wouldn't tell them that because that probably wasn't their reality back then. Like the world evolves every 10, 20, 30 years, like it really radically shifts. So a lot of these concepts, a lot of these things, they just weren't familiar with. And they're not really going to share that with another generation or people that are above you because they just weren't familiar with it. That's just the honest truth. So it's really up to me to be like, hey, this is a tool that you can utilize if it makes sense. And for a lot of people, like especially high yield savings, I think it makes a ton of sense. I'm like, heck yeah, it makes sense. And it's like my mom never knew about this, like my siblings never knew about this. So if I didn't work at where I worked at, I would have never known about it because I would probably ask my mom, what do you do? And she'd been like, oh, just get a CD. Now she hates CDs because they're so the lockup. the lockup. She doesn't like the illiquidity of CDs. So now I got her on the high yield savings. So it's a combination of lack of knowledge and where you get your information from, are mostly going to be from like your parents or elders, and they don't have the knowledge. So it kind of just like a revolving wheel of lack of information for people. So.
And for well, hey, that's all the questions I have. Anybody else got any more questions for Brandon?
Nah, man, I appreciate it. You definitely. I'm definitely gonna be looking into markets tonight, as
Right.
well
Yeah.
as those on juvenile life insurance. Those just gonna be yours.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, the juvenile life insurance, we can help out with the Marcus. That's all you, baby. Like, go ahead and get that. It's free. It takes like 5 minutes to set up.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I love it. Like, the Marcus is sick. Hey, go ahead and get on that. No promo, no ad, nothing. It's just I love it.
I'm for it. I'm for it. But I do appreciate your time, man. I know everybody's time precious, but I may get up with Fred to try and reach back out to you. But I do want to say thank you, man.
Of course.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Brandon. I appreciate this.
Of course, man. Y'all are a great crowd. I appreciate y'all. And if you need any questions, comments, and concerns, have any questions, comments, concerns, just let me know. My information I can drop in the chat, or I'm pretty public, like LinkedIn, website, like it's all there. But if you need me to drop some stuff, I can. Like, no, like if that'll be helpful. So.
Oh yeah.
Deal. Thank you
Cool.
very much, Brandon. I got your email address and I got your phone number. Send me a text if you want to provide a different phone number to the group. But other than that, I'll make your information available. And that's the end of the meeting. Thank you very much again.
Absolutely. Appreciate y'all once again.
Thank y'all.
All right.
Thanks, Fred.
Have a good one.
All
All
right.
right.
Yep.
All right, bye.
Easy.
Yep.